In the 19th century, circus performances of freaks and human zoos became incredibly popular. Such popularity was explained simply. The spoiled European and American community constantly wanted new spectacles, and theatrical performances were not the kind of entertainment that was able to attract a large crowd. Roughly speaking, the theater was the domain of the bohemians, where each production was subject to very strict scrutiny and censorship. And the human zoo and circus, a completely different spectacle, which did not lend itself to any script and could overnight surprise with a completely unbelievable plot development. It was then, as part of the circus performance, numerous charlatans, mediums, spellcasters, hypnotists and other representatives of the world of pseudoscience and esotericism amazed the audience with their skills. But despite the great popularity of mass hypnosis or public contacts with the world of spirits, with various magicians and mediums could enter into direct competition for popularity. Unusual people, huge fat men, bearded women and disabled people with unusual body defects. In those days they were called freaks. And in the ranks of the most famous freaks of the 19th century included a certain Isaac Sprague, a man who was probably the skinniest man on planet Earth and had no problems from his dystrophic appearance and catastrophically low weight, was born skeleton man. Isaac Sprague, May 21, 1841, in the United States, in the state of Massachusetts, in the small town of East Bridgewater. As claimed by the hero of my story today, until the age of 12, he was absolutely no different from his peers and developed as an ordinary bull, except that his height and weight were a little short of the average parameters. But then no one, including parents, did not doubt that the boy will stretch and grow muscles, and such a lag in height and weight. Only a temporary phenomenon. Parents were not mistaken exactly half. Becoming an adult, Sprague really reached a height of 167 centimeters, which by the standards of the time, was a very decent parameters. But in terms of weight there was a complete and little explained failure. He never overcame the mark of 20 kilograms, at most reaching the bar at 19.5 kilograms. The reason was that after a swimming session, just at the age of 12, Isaac felt bad, and, knowingly sitting over a basin, in an impulse to push out of the body some incomprehensible contagion, for a very long time suffered stomach, until he felt better. True. During this time, the teenager's weight dropped below 20 kilograms and never again overcame this mark. Why? This question is still a big mystery for the medical community. Researchers of the phenomenon of Isaac directly note that the man all his life had quite a healthy appetite, but food, once inside, as if dissolved inside the living skeleton, whether under the influence of an incredible metabolism or due to some strange and unexplored disease. At the moment it is believed that Sprague had a strange form of constantly progressing muscular atrophy coupled with anorexia, which, however, did not chain the unicum to the bed and allowed to lead a fairly normal life. And it worked. Before Isaac became a circus performer, he successfully worked as a shoemaker for his father and a grocer for a small businessman. But still the young man's physical strength was limited, and he thought about changing his activity to something easier and more monetary at the same time. In 1865, the young man, who had already earned his unspoken nickname the Living Skeleton and local popularity, was approached by P.T. Barnum, the director of his museum, and at the same time freak show, which was held on the territory of the controlled establishment. Isaac Sprague's appearance on the big stage made a real furor. To look at the unusual freak literally rushed thousands of Americans, and, perhaps, the Living Skeleton would have remained under Barnum, and did not go on any tour, if in 1868, Special Museum was not befallen by misfortune. It was completely destroyed during a sudden outbreak of fire, which for some time barely survived and sought-after artist was left without work. At the same time, Isaac was able to marry a beautiful and quite normal woman, Tamar Moore. They had 3 absolutely healthy sons. In terms of his feelings for his wife and children, Sprague was honest. He did not care about his loved ones and tried to spoil them as much as possible. It worked well, because the Living Skeleton soon received new offers, from which Isaac often went traveling around the country, demonstrating his physical condition for the amusement of the public in different cities and towns in the United States. Sprague let down his love of gambling, which was much stronger than love for his family. No matter how much the popular freak earns, he absolutely everything down in the cards. And, as Isaac has already seen enough of the American community, soon the popularity of this unusual artist began to fall, which entailed a decrease in income and large plate debts. The story of this ended very sadly. In 1887, deprived of fame and money, in the city of Chicago, in loneliness and absolute poverty, having the last years of life big problems with alcohol, Isaac Sprague went to the next world. Barely reached to 45 years old, and the doctors who arrived to establish the fact of death were amazed by the thinness of the once popular and recognized dead man, but still came to the conclusion that the man died not because of anorexia, but because of asphyxia, choosing an uncomfortable position for sleep, which turned out to be the last.